Lockhart Perspective. Well, hello and happy Friday to everyone. We've got a lot of little stories that I wanted to cover today. Um, I really feel like it's time for everybody to just begin to speak out and say what they see. You know why? Because your words have power. Today, we're looking at some fires that are going on all around us. As well, we're going to look at some things going around the world because I think a lot of times when we get distracted by certain things, we forget to look at other stuff, and those things are sort of zooming by. And then we look up later and we're like, oh, wow, that happened? When did that happen? Well, it happened when you was distracted generally. I want to say hello to everyone at the Lockhart Perspective this morning. Welcome, welcome. And everyone as well to Headlines with a Voice in this simulcast here on Friday, August 18th, 2023. A lot of things to cover, so let's just get right into it. Hello to everyone in advance. So there's a study that I want to look at dealing with electric vehicles. Before we get into anything else, I think it's funny that everybody is being cautioned now in places like California, New York, and Cleveland to get the EV, get it quickly. One of my sons just recently called me and he didn't get an electric car. And pardon my ignorance on any of this stuff, but what he ended up getting was a what he ended up getting was a hydrogen vehicle. Anybody? Anybody? He called me after he got it. He's in California and he goes, Mom, you don't have no idea what just happened. I was like, what? And he goes, well, I just bought this car. I parked my Challenger, and he's had this for a couple of years. He's I parked that, and I got something else so that I can get around. So I went and I got this vehicle. So he starts to tell me the story about how after he got the car, he asked the guy, he says, "Hey man, when I bought my Challenger, they filled my tank up. Are you going to give me some gas or however fuel, energy, whatever?" So the guy goes, "Oh, yeah, man. We weren't able to get anybody to do it." Because all of our valets are so busy. But I'll give you $20. And my son goes, okay, no problem. Well, after driving around Los Angeles, he went to Torrance. He went to where else was it? He went to Torrance. He went to Los Angeles County, first of all. Not that Torrance isn't, but he went more inner city, right? So he goes more inner city, he's looking, and all those places are damaged, broken down. They need to be serviced. And then he goes to another place all the way out, like I say, in Torrance. The guy goes, oh, no, 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 no. I don't have one of those vehicles, but we're broken. We're waiting for parts. But you can go to the place out in Seal Beach. So he gets to Seal Beach and it's the same issue. Finally, he decides just to call on this little app that they give him, handy dandy app. And there's a woman. Yes, sir, I'd be so happy to help you with this. I'm so sorry that you're having problem finding your energy for your car. I can help you. Well, she comes up with a novel idea. One of the newest things I've ever heard of. You tell somebody that's in the city of Carson to go all the way to San Luis Obispo. They're in California to get some type of fuel. So by the time you get there, you would imagine that the person would be done. Well, he was done. He said, Mom, I'm taking this car back. I said, thank you. Please do. Their mindsets there in California are now, we are going to have to get it. If we don't get it now, they're going to make us get it. We have to get it. Doesn't that sound familiar? So what I said to him was, you know what, son, you can have that mindset or you can get the hell out of California. He's got a job. He can retire very early if he chose to. And so, he's one of those young men who are doing the right thing. He's trying to take care of his kids, his family, and all that good stuff. And so I get it. But at the same time, I've been begging family members to leave that place. Now, what we're going to look at is how all of these little places for people to go get their fueling is not doing so good. Now, backtracking a little bit to the story with him, come to find out that this hydrogen vehicle, and again, you guys will have to help me on my ignorance. I don't understand the difference between the hydrogen thing and then the electric thing, and then all these different things that they got going on. But apparently, what happened was there was a big thumbs down given by Elon Musk, according to one of the people that he spoke with at a Toyota dealership. The vehicle that he got originally, according to this man, was 60 grand, and he got it for a plum steal. Well, the reason why I got it for a steal was because as soon as Muskie put his word out there that, hey, if this stuff was so sustainable and something we were going to use, we would have put it in rocket ships, allegedly. Again, I don't know, but my son told me this is what the guy told him. And then he said the follow-up was, yeah, and then after that, everything plummeted, parts stopped being made. People just thought it wasn't, a great alternative. Now they're going towards this or that. Well, End result was they have a cooling off period in California. He took the vehicle back, got his money back, had to pay a $500, which looks like this may be their only form of resources, a $500 restocking fee, as it were. So he had to pay that. And he cut his losses, went back to his federal, his credit union, and dealt with them about the difference and everything. And he cut his losses. So that was a good thing, right? But not everybody is doing that. People are hell bent on trying to help them prop up this mindset. So that's his story, and that's what went on. Now let's take a look at the state of, let's take a look at Utah. All right, let's take a look. All right, let's take a look at Utah. I want to share with you this right here. Where is it? There it is, Utah. Wrong story to share, Felicia, but it's okay. Love is in the air. I feel it. All right. So this is what's going on in Utah. In case you did not know, get your pennies ready. And not only to get your pennies ready, but you may want to put them all in a wallet that they've got handy dandy stored up for you right there in Oregon and in Utah. Now, for the past couple of days, we've been sick in this house. The kids went back to school. Yes, they did. We've got one that's not, but we've got the other two that are. And apparently they must have turned on a switch or something with the teachers, because both them kids came back sick. That's what I get, right? Wrong. It ain't wrong. It ain't right either. It's just what it is. But they came back both sick, and I pulled them out. So there's that. So if you hear noise, that's why. Pull them out. Should never have done the opposite, but you had to do what you got to do some days when you got to make some bills. You got to pay some bills. But anyway, here we go. The Techno-Hell, Utah and Oregon now requires GPS trackers on their electrical vehicles in lieu of registration fee. Tax drivers by the mile. That's what they're doing out there. The story is written by Ben Barty for PJ Media. Let me make sure that you guys can see it over there. All right. There we go. And let's get into this. State governments have historically generated revenue to maintain roads, traffic lights, and the like by adding tax at the pump. Owing to the federal government prodding transition to electric vehicles, or EVs, to combat something called climate change, states stand to lose out on this source of revenue, as electric vehicles obviously don't require gasoline to operate. Now, Utah's novel solution is to charge a per mile fee for electric vehicles with a government's, get this, GPS tracker attached to monitor the movement, baby. Didn't we see this coming? So here's this italicized, I would imagine, is possibly from their website there in Utah. But let's have a gander. It says Utah roads are maintained using taxes from gasoline sales. As vehicles become more fuel efficient and the number of electric vehicles grow, the Utah Department of Transportation and Division of Motor Vehicles is changing to a per mile fee as a way for drivers to pay their portion of roadway operations and maintenance. My question is, how are your roads right now, Utah? How are they? Are they pothole free? Are they spiffity? I mean, you can just drive and glide. Do you tear up your rack and pinion on your Chevy you got right now whenever you drive down a bad neighborhood? Well, let's continue. You're going to pay 1 cent per mile deducted from a prepaid wallet up to the amount of the flat fee. Enrolling in Utah's road usage charge program gives you access to DriveSync for Utah Department of Transportation. It's an app that makes your driving safer and more productive through trip tracking and driving reports. So it's not just enough to give them the penny because they want you to be able to help to pay for the roads. Well, no, we got to know how you're driving because that's a part of this too. Well, even though you were just giving, your monies for your gasoline and they didn't know exactly how fast you were driving or how sharply you were turning those corners. Well, now we've got to know, because it's for your safety. Because it makes your driving safer and more productive through trip tracking and driving reports. For a little added Orwellianism, the Drive Sync app also assigns a driving score based on how fast the citizen accelerates, brakes, corner turns, and drives. The app records bad driving behavior and shows it to the citizen on a digital map. Now, Oregon is instituting a similar policy. We could click this and go over there, but what we're going to do here is continue. Oregon Department of Transportation created a website and program called Orego, Orego, where drivers can sign up to volunteer for a program where they pay a fee for every mile they drive on public roads. Currently, it's just under 2 cents a mile. So now they're telling you that right now you got the opportunity to volunteer. Does anybody know why they want you to volunteer? Anybody? Because they need your data. Yeah, see, they need to see how this is going to work, right? They need to check it out because they can't do anything unless they've got some good old handy data. No, there's nowhere else to get the data but those who are driving on the road. So it's a volunteer program for now. The program isn't gaining much traction. About 700 people have signed up so far, either reporting their mileage to the state or by using the GPS tracking device to track their travel. The people driving hybrids are still paying for gas at the pump, so each quarter, their account is balanced to credit the mileage fee against the gas tax, ensuring that they don't end up paying both. Now, Michigan's up next. So we can click that. I think I'm going to click all of these and just get all these stories just knocked out in one big whop. Why not? I'm here. You're here. Let's get at it. So the rest says that with the electric vehicles on the rise, the Michigan Department of Transportation is exploring how new options to replace gas tax. There are new options to replace the gas tax. One potential avenue is a road usage charge system, which would require residents to place a GPS tracker in their vehicle to keep track of their mileage. Similar systems are already in place in Oregon and Utah, as we've just read. Utah charges the drivers up to 1 cent, what we just read, while Oregon charges their drivers 1.9 cents per mile. The technocrats love nothing more than killing 2 or 3 birds with one stone. In this case, said birds are getting rid of gas-powered cars, inventing for themselves a brand new revenue generation scheme and instituting even more tracking power to make sure, hey, this author, I like him, to make sure peasants behave themselves. There's the source for everything down yonder. Let me come up over here and look at you guys and talk with y'all. What do you think about that? Isn't that amazing? It's for your safety. Well, of course they're going to help you, right? I mean, isn't that what this is for? I would think so. I would hope so. Anybody? Well, I think that it speaks for itself. I don't think I need to add anything. Sometimes you don't have to. Sometimes you can just let stuff sit right there. And I've been doing that lately. Just let that sit right there. Just let it sit there because there's not a lot you can add to that. I think each and every one of us have the ability to think for ourselves, and it's a pretty strong thought process that most of us possess. And so, with that, I think, yeah, we're good. We're good on that. I want to say hello to everybody. Tonette, Daryl, Monica. I see you all. Anne, hey, Anne, how are you? Not looking too much at the comments because I know that if I get caught up in them, we're going to be sitting here chatting forever. And I want to get on to the next part. Gerard, how are you? Good to see you. Betty R, my soul sister. Dave P, how you doing? Great to see you as well. Mama Ray, where you been, Mama Ree? Good to see you. Okay. Yeah. We don't even need to read it, right, Vape King? We don't need to, right, Tonette? We don't even need to sit here and talk about it because we already know. Tina Hardman, how you doing? David Bruce, love you, baby. Okay, love you. Dominic, how you doing? Yeah. My sister, soul sister, Sandy Aaron is in the house. Leaf Desi's in the house. Wayne Wallace is in the house. Karen Burns is in the house. How you doing? Who else we got here before we get on to the next story? I got to love on y'all. You know why? I know people say, well, why does she always got to stop and say, hey? Hi, Jay. The deal is that you never know. You just have to say something to somebody sometime. You got to speak. You got to love on the people that love on you because you never know what tomorrow's going to hold or even the next hour for that matter. Right? Anarchy. Hey, baby. So we've got to say hey sometimes, and that was my time to say hey. We'll take another break as soon as we finished up with some of these other stories. Now, what I want to look at in tandem with the story is what is going on with the stability of this plan. Ms. D, you know what I'm saying, Vicky? What's going on with how this whole thing is going to play out? Because this is a question that we simply must know. We simply must see how all of this is going to fare, meaning, do they have enough, which we know the answer, so I'm asking it rhetorically. Do they have enough wherewithal throughout the United States as far as infrastructure is concerned to take care of this? Do they? Can they fix? Can they? No, they don't. Can't even take care of the stuff they got to take care of now. But I believe that if we start to stand up and begin to intercede and begin to speak these things and not hide the stuff by being fearful, that this stuff is going to change. Maybe not a bunch, but enough. That's what I believe, because death and life are in the power of the tongue, and you have the power to speak life, and you have the power to say the way that things are going to be. That's the reason why they attacked this place up here. Yeah, so that you can't. Well, let's get with this next one, because it's my belief that this is going to be very telling. It's going to confirm some of the stuff that we already knew. Here we are. This is Green Car Reports. Now, there's a study that 1 in every 5 EV charging attempts is a fail. Well, we know by my son, I don't even know what that thing was. Let me give us a better view of this. Okay, did it change it for us on your side? That's the most important thing, because I don't like seeing all the ads. Let me give it back to you guys. Hold on, if it ever gave it to you in the first place. There you are. All right. Now we know by dealing with my son that it was a total disaster, but they're saying 1 in every 5. That was not the case for him with that hydrogen thing. You guys, what is the hydrogen thing? What is that? Is that the half gas, half electric? What is hydrogen? What is that? Somebody out there tell me. Hip your girl on the facts. So it says a study, 1 in 5 charging attempts is a fail. As automakers continue to introduce more EVs, public charging is proving unreliable, according to the latest JD Power Electric Vehicle Experience public charging study. My question is, where are they getting the people from the study? Hey, Rick, where are they getting the people? Okay, hydrogen, what exactly, Gay? I got that. It is hydrogen. It is water. But what does it? It has to do more than just water, because if that was the case, wouldn't they just be able to? I thought hydrogen was water as gas. My question is, why can't you just use the water hose? And I know that sounds stupid, but remember that black guy that they zapped that was supposed to be the security guard at that place that had a water engine? Remember that? Okay, thank you, Anne. Thank you, Vape King. It's a gas made from water. They have hydrogen stations like gas stations. It's 100% clean. Regulatory affairs. Hey, there are 2,800 nuclear detonations around the world from 1945 to 2000. Carbon science is confounded, and they all lie. Okay, thank you for that. Peroxide for fuel. Anyway, you guys, Grand Rising Doc Boss. So good to see you. And thank you, Doc Boss, for following me on TikTok. TikTok, tickety talk, tickety. They crazy over there, but it's fun. They're nuts. It's not for kids. Not at all. Not at all, Doc Boss. But I thank you for following me over there. And I hope everybody else does. Just go over there and look for Felicia Lockhart or the Lockhart Perspective. You're going to see a couple of 2 or 3 things over there. And I'd like for you, if you do have that app, to go on ahead and subscribe, because they now have a way that I can start to upload bigger and longer videos. And they've got some stuff going on, but they're not as bad as most as it relates to things you can and can't say, they still got some issues. Hydrogen fuel cells uses chemical reactions to create electricity somehow. David Bruce, leave it to you. Leave it to you, my baby. Leave it to you, my baby. All right, so now let me get back on the other side, because as soon as I come on this side where I can see y'all, I start talking and everything. So anyway, as automakers continue to introduce more electric vehicles, public charging is proving unreliable, according to the latest, as it stated, with JD Power Electric Vehicle Experience Public Charging Study. My question before I darted back on the other side was, who's in the study? Are they just taking anybody's information that goes into a website that, maybe the person bought their vehicle like my son did, and maybe they're giving it a rating? Or are they just taking 100 people and following them around? And are those 100 people privy to the fact that they're being followed around, and they're going to be on their best behavior and say, well, yeah, I just went to 5 of them and, one of them had a problem? Or are they really being downright honest? I doubt it. Nonetheless, the study found that 20% of electric vehicle drivers who visited a charging station did not charge their vehicles. Reasons for this ranged from chargers being inoperable to long lines, according to JD Power. The frequency of unsuccessful visits to charging stations varied geographically, and electric vehicles in the Miami Port, St. Lucia, Fort Lauderdale area had it worst. They had it worse. Why is that got a T? Had it worst? Like liver's worst? Had it worse, failing to charge their vehicles 35% of the time. The Seattle, Tacoma, Denver, Aurora, and Dallas, Fort Worth areas each saw no charging at 29% of the visits. The lowest frequency was in Cleveland, Akron, Canton area, where drivers were unable to charge during 12% of the visits. Well, how many people there have those cars out there? Satisfaction with charging speed has declined as well, the new study found. The customer satisfaction score for level 2 charging speed was down to 455 points out of a possible 1,000, a decrease of 36 points from last year. The comparable score for District of Columbia fast charging decreased 30 points from last year. To 588. Granted, this could be related to the push toward an even larger, ever larger battery packs as a band-aid for low efficiency, which means more time spent charging at a given power level. Basically, before we get to this next paragraph, baby, you ain't going nowhere. So if you got one of them things, I hope you like the neighborhood you hanging in. If you got one of them things, I hope you like the community or the communita that is around you. If you got one of them things, because if you got one of them things, baby, you ain't going nowhere. And in case of emergency, break glass is really all you're going to be able to do. Break the glass in case of an emergency. But you're not going to be able to do anything based on the breaking of the glass because, well, you landlocked. You stuck to the concrete. And remember what I call these things? I call them concrete paperweights. Yeah, asphalt paperweights. I saw them in here and in my spirit lined up and down the highway where people could not get away. They just had to get out and walk. And wherever they got out to walk, in the case of an emergency, was going to end up being their new place to live. Whether it got them 200 miles away from their house, that 200-mile destination was as close as they're going to get. This is amazing. Anyway. But the things that are starting this are under our feet. They only have the power that we give them. The story goes on to say that these factors contributed to general dissatisfaction with public charging. The customer satisfaction score for public level 2 charging was 617 points, which JD Powers was 16 points lower than a year before. And the lowest since the study began in 2021. Customer satisfaction with DC fast charging dropped 20 points to 654. This isn't limited to areas relatively new to electric vehicles and charging infrastructure. In California, which has by far the most electric not dodo birds, say that out loud. I know. Y'all got to hurry up and do it because if you don't do it, they're gonna make you do it. And 2025 is it, and 2030 is it. Meanwhile, in 2023, you're investing in these things. Which by far has the most EVs in the public chargers than any state? 25% of the people they surveyed found the public charging experience unreliable. Customer satisfaction scores were actually lower than the national average at 571 points for level 2 charging and 595 for the DC fast charging. Among charging networks, Volta was ranked the highest for level 2 charging with a score of 665, beating out the second place Tesla Destinations Network 661 and ChargePoint 618. Volta started with an ad-supported interface that simultaneously called itself a media network and was bought by Shell earlier this year. The Tesla Supercharger Network was the highest ranked DC fast charging network with a score of 739 points, and it's been ranked the highest in every year of the study. And it was the only fast charging network ranked above the segment average this year. Now, the question is whether that level of customer satisfaction will be maintained for electric vehicles from other brands, which will soon start accessing the network in large numbers thanks to deals with several major automakers, including Ford and GM. The federal government is also taking steps to tackle EV charger reliability across the board with some of the new standards. They're here to help. They're here to the rescue. Based on the results of this study, regulators have their work cut out for them. No, they don't. Let me tell you what this study was, baby. You want to know, baby? I'm going to tell you. This study just told them that what they were trying to do works. This is the fastest way to ground Americans, and they know it, and they're happy with what the study is telling them. And some of them are probably a little bit upset because you got Tesla out there leading the charge. Well, that's okay. We're going to help that number for the company that the government hates the most, allegedly, Tesla. We're going to help that number plummet too. So, Ford, GM, the government says, we loved you, but you got to keep playing the game. So let all your folks go over there and start charging over there. We're going to drop that score because we need the scores to be lower. We need to know these people are going to be stuck outside their house, outside their kids' school, outside the grocery store, and outside of what used to be their dry cleaners. As you know, those are on the decline. So we need to know that they're going to be stuck someplace because being stuck is what we need them to be. Yeah, none of that jet setting and gallivanting around like you're an elite. Who do you think you are? You can't go to the state next door, buddy. No more of that vacation and crap. Find someplace about 10 minutes out that way and 10 minutes the other way, or 5 minutes this way and 6 minutes that way. And if you want your kids to have some fun and you can't go to Florida anymore because, well, now you're in a totally different state, all you got to do is take them to the laundromat and let them watch the water go around and around and around and around in the washing machine. Let the clothes tumble. Watch them while you try to charge your car. I mean, that's enough fun for everybody, right? Let your kids have a good time. Let me get to the next story. But that's exactly how I feel. That's exactly what I have to say. Right, Vicky? Mama Marie. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So that's the deal. That's what's really going on. That's what it's all about, Alfie. What's it all about, Alfie? All right, so let's get on. Let's get on to something else. Let's find something else. I want to break it up a little bit because I'm going to go into the wildfires, but I want to end on that. Hey, Oz. Hey, Bunny. Joy Trujillo. Hey. All right, so let's see here. I want to deal with the West Africa militaries to meet the da-da-da-da-da and the blase skippy doo-da-da, okay? Got to keep our eyes on this whole Niger thing. I don't know what to say about this whole entire situation except the whole thing stinks to high heaven. The whole thing stinks to high heaven. We'll never really know what's really going on. But let's just read what's printed, shall we? Okay, let's do it. Now, West African army chiefs were due to hold a second and final day of talks on Friday in Ghana's capital, Accra, where they have been hashing out the details of a possible military intervention in Niger if diplomacy fails to reverse the military coup. Military officers deposed Nigerian President Mohamed Bazoum on July 26th and have defied calls from the United Nations, the West African Bloc, ECOWAS, and others to reinstate him, prompting regional powers to order a standby force to be assembled. Now, during their 2-day meeting, which ends with a closing ceremony around 1600 GMT, defense chiefs have been discussing logistics and other aspects of a possible deployment, according to their official schedule. The use of force remains a last resort, but, quote, if everything else fails, the valiant force of West Africa, valiant, are ready to answer the call of duty. Now, this comes from their Commissioner of Political Affairs, Peace and Security, Abdel Fattah Musa. That means Moses. Okay, Musa said at the start of the event on yesterday. Now, he said most of the bloc's 15 member states were prepared to participate in the standby force, accepting those also under military rule: Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea, and tiny Cape Verde. Any escalation would further destabilize West Africa's impoverished Sahel region, which is already battling a decade-old Islamist insurgency. Niger also has strategic importance beyond West Africa because of its uranium and oil reserves. I just got to stop. You guys know there's no concern over there unless we highlight the obvious. West Africa, because of its uranium and oil reserves, and role as a hub for foreign troops involved in the fight against the insurgents linked to Al Qaeda and the Islamic State. But you guys, they say all of that to say two phrases, 3 words: uranium, oil reserves. If they didn't have any of that, you wouldn't even be knowing about any of this. Because, see, they got to fashion it for you in such a way. They got to fashion it. They got to fashion. They got to do the fashion. They have to fashion it in such a way that where you think that there's such a major concern. Look, they're not even the United Nations. They ain't got nothing to do. What's going on? What's really happening? They've defied calls from the United Nations. They've defied it. They don't have anything to do with it. They've no power there. Nobody has any power. Hey, Flow State. Yeah, no power. No power at all. Okay? None. But they don't want you to realize that what's going on over there right now. Listen, let's just drop the rocks for a second, shall we? Let's just deal with one thing. The fact that that entire region is so rich and the people are yet so poor tells you that the intervention that comes from any place else other than right there where they are is an issue. Now, here's the deal. Some would say that if there's people who are in leadership in on the entire continent, okay, let me just fashion it for you for a second. Yeah, but there's bad people that are in leadership over there, and those people are selling out their people, and those people are doing this and that. And you're absolutely right, they are. But let me ask you something. Do you think that any of those things would happen if nobody else would go over there and bother them, which we all know would be a wonderful fallacy for us to have an existence of a world that people did not go in and fumble but around with other people's stuff and other people's business? It would be wonderful. We're just trying to paint the picture right now. Yeah. Do you think that if nobody was over there peddling their wares and dragging all of these folks' stuff up out of there to peddle their wares elsewhere, there would be any issue with regards to that? No, because you know why? There wouldn't be this importance on the stuff that comes to them naturally. Water all up under that region. And you got people going over there taking the water. That's some crap. Boy, I tell you what. You know what? I've often thought about the whole term New World. You guys are the smartest chat on the planet. Give me the amount of times that you've heard the term New World as it relates to a change in history. Yeah, because there was another phrase that I wanted to say. Yes. Webitized one. I wanted to say something else. But the deal is that we've been here before. We're going to continue to go here again. And I'm not sure if it means that the collective of, we, the collective, needs to realize that we've done this before in history. And the only way to change it in history is for all of us, the collective, to say, okay, we're not going to take this and just stand up. Because I don't know a time where this has really been so technology. I mean, the technology has been so vast, and the citizenry have been so well endowed with knowledge and information. I don't know that there has ever been a time in the history of mankind where this has been going on. And so one would think that because we have that knowledge, that if we all with one accord, in one accord, began to think a certain thing, began to speak a certain thing, that we wouldn't be able to, if not for 10 or 15 days, if not for 10 or 15 months. I'm just saying, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just asking a question. I'm wondering if anything would change. Because this morning, I was very upset with something that I saw. And I began to intercede. I was that angry for strangers that I began to put a demand on my own faith to stand. Let me hurry up and finish what I'm talking about. Because if I don't, y'all already know. You already know I'll go off on a tangent. So, this is what's going on there. We already understand that the uranium and the oil reserves. Niger has strategic importance beyond West Africa because of the uranium and oil reserves. I don't want to go there. Let me just shut up. Let me just be quiet. All right, so let's go on ahead to the next thing. Let's go to the next thing. There's a couple other stories before we get into what's going on with the fires that are all over the place. The next one that I wanted to look at was North Korea. What are they doing? A few stories that we could choose from dealing with them, but they into a lot of stuff right now. And you know what? This little cat changes more than the skinny Oprah to the fat Oprah. He changes. He reminds me, it's like the skinny Luther and the fat Luther. Skinny Oprah, fat Oprah. He just changes so much. It's amazing. He does. He was a tall one, and then there was a short one. Well, let's get into the story. Northern Korean leader Kim Jong-un and Russia's defense minister Sergei Shoigu visited an exposition of armed equipment on the occasion of the 70th anniversary of the Korean War armistice. In this image that's right up here, I'm looking at all these cats. I'm looking at all these cats. I'm paying attention. I'm looking at the foot, looking at the feet, looking at the hands, looking at everything. Nice haircut. Well, that's of course because I cut hair for a living for a long time and I like the haircut. Anyway, North Korea's latest Hwasong 18 intercontinental ballistic missile, its first ICBM to use solid rocket fuel, has ignited a debate over a possible Russian role in the nuclear-armed state's dramatic missile development. In a report published yesterday on Thursday by the Washington-based Center for the Strategic and International Studies, Theodore Postel, the professor emeritus at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, argued that this particular ICBM is likely the result of technical cooperation sourced to Russia. Big deal. But America has to have their hand in everything. We got it. They can't. And look who did it with them. The Hwasong 18 has been tested twice, including on July the 12th, in what was the longest flight time ever for a North Korean missile test. It is the first, it is the North's first ICBM to use solid propellants, which can enable faster and easier deployment of missiles during war. The missile was first flown in April. Here's a quote. The sudden appearance of these advanced capabilities is difficult to explain without cooperation from the Russian government and its scientists, Postal wrote, saying visual similarities suggest Russia may have decided to transfer an advanced 50-ton solid propellant ICBM, the Topol M, also known as the SS 27, to North Korea. You know, I got to pause. I got to pause. Doesn't America mind you of, Amna, Amna, come quick. Doesn't America remind you of Mrs. Frickin' Kravitz? Doesn't America remind you? Hey, Amna, they're at it again. I mean, every time you turn around, they running, Monica. They are running to tell somebody something you know is, well, now y'all know. Now y'all know it's that Russia. Because Russia the ones, it's Russia. Look at what they done. They done gave all of this stuff over there to North Korea. Lord help them. Lord help them. Let's keep going. So it had to be from Russia. Russia and North Korea have currently called for closer military ties, but North Korea has denied having any arms dealing with Russia because we ask them. Now, is y'all in a child? I'm stupid. Is y'all in some kind of cahootins? United States, they're the cat that told the military. Is y'all in some kind of cahootins with Russia? Then they go to North Korea. Then they go to Russia. Is y'all in some kind of is y'all in some kind of cahootins with North Korea? I could just see him because you never see him anywhere. I mean, all you do is hear that he had something to say. He's over the military. He's over everything. He's like that guy, right? He's that guy. But you really never see him physically doing anything. They always send somebody else out. They always send somebody else out to do the talking. Usually the guy with the thick black hair. Can't think of his name. But the black guy. He's always just a picture. Even when I go to the military websites, he's just a picture. He's just a photo. Is y'all in some cahootins? North Korea. Is y'all in some cahootins with Russia? Then you go to Russia. Is y'all in some cahootins with North Korea? Because something tells me you is. And it ain't going to be nice. And I'm going to get on back down here and skippity pap. Let me skippity pap tap back over here to Biden and tell him what's really going on. After y'all tells me is y'all's in cahoots with each other. Russia's foreign ministry did not immediately respond to the new report. In response to recent allegations from the UN panel of experts that entities in Russia were procuring items for North Korea's missile program, Russia denied any knowledge or information on the transactions that would breach sanctions on North Korea, and other analysts questioned Postal's report. Researchers at California's James Martin Center for Non-Proliferation Studies noted in a draft report shared with Reuters factual inaccuracies, including mistaking the Russian Topol M and Yar's ICBMs and misidentifying a spent Hwasong 18 rocket stage as a decoy canister designed to defeat anti-missile systems. Postal did not immediately respond, or shall I? Let me fix it. Mrs. Kravitz did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Postal did not immediately respond. Miss Kravitz didn't have nothing to say. I don't know, Abner. Tell him I'm not home. Okay, all right. Speaking ahead of a Camp David summit between the United States, Japan, and Korea, the White House National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, who was the guy with the dark hair I'm talking about, said the administration of the United States President Joe Biden was concerned about potential missile cooperation between Russia and North Korea, but he was not validating the report. We just sent him over there and we don't know how. We leaked this information to y'all for y'all to know what we was thinking. Quote, in terms of this specific report, I don't have anything to add to that today. I will say it's something our intelligence community is taking a hard look at, he said. Sullivan said that Russia had been seeking to get material for its war effort in Ukraine from North Korea. And as they have done with other countries like Iran, when they ask, they usually also offer some types of security cooperation in return. He continues with, I'm not asserting that that is the case today. I'm saying that it's just a matter of concern, close quote. The CNS researchers said the Hwasong 18 clearly takes some design inspiration from Russian missiles. In this case, Topol M and Yars, just as many other North Korean missiles do. Here's another quote. We do not rule out the possibility that Russian entities may have assisted North Korea in its development of the system, the CNS researchers said in their report. However, a close examination of the images, videos, and performance of the missiles show clear differences that exclude the possibility that Russia transferred a complete ICBM system. They concluded, citing major differences in the guidance systems and the missile's third stages. Well, you just got upset about nothing. Samantha just bought those new shoes from iMagnin in Los Angeles, and you thought that they were your shoes, but they're not. You thought they were the neighbor's shoes, but they're not. Samantha went to iMagnin in 1969, right there in the Wilshire district, and she purchased those beautiful Potoswa shoes, and you just thought they were your neighbors. See what I did there? You got to keep the timeline together. Now, some of the Hwasong 18 systems, in fact, more closely resemble Chinese weapons, and North Korea has been publicly developing solid fuel missiles since at least 2017, the researchers add. Now, let me tell you something. Mrs. Kravitz is Big Brother. Was a peeping Tom, a lousy neighbor, yes. Mrs. Kravitz was a trip. We joke around the house about being Mrs. Kravitz because I'm always keeping an eye on the children. Mrs. Kravitz is Big Brother. Yes, she is. Yes, most assuredly. Monica says, sounds like that sounds like our government. That's exactly who it is. That's exactly who it is. That's exactly what's going on here. Don't you know? You know what I'm saying? That's what the deal is. Because we're in everybody's business and we're always pointing the finger, forgetting that there's all these fingers pointing back. And I don't mean we as in you, me, and us. I mean the country that we now physically reside. Some of us physically reside. Some of us can move out of our physical state and go where we need be. And if you know, like I know, then you know what you need to be interceding and you know what you need to be doing. So get it together with your gifting that you're not working with. Get it together. Whoever that's for, I've said it. It's off my heart. It's off my heart. I'm no longer responsible. I said it. Get it together. Get your gifting together. All right. Let's move along to another story. Now, I do want to look at the fires. I do. So many fires. So many fires. Making sure that you guys can see it. Yes, that's exactly what I mean. GA Bunny, Gabunny, Georgia Bunny, whatever the GA stands for. Whatever the G, the A, the B, the U, the N, the I, the E means bunny. Okay? Oh, I can do a good Archie. Yes, I can. Yes, I can, Tonette. Okay? So let's get right into the story here because we've got a few more that I want to look at that's dealing with fires. All right? So this, of course, is dated today. And this is this is going to explain to you what the photo is that we're looking at. Look at that X. That means somebody marked the spot for some reason. That's a counter. I've never seen regular fires burn vehicles up like this, but I'm gonna shut up because that's what's got me interceding today. Anyway, as the first victims of the fires that scorched Maui are identified by authorities and family members, an early pattern has emerged. Many who perished were over the age of 70. Hold on a second. That would have gotten me off this platform, so I just decided to clutch my necklace and say what I had to say. And now that I've done it in pure Southern lady fashion, let me go ahead on and read this story. Scores more victims will be identified in the weeks and months to come, while the final list of fatalities will almost surely represent a broader cross section of ages. The deaths underscore that the elderly are at greater risk in vast moving places. Of the 111 people that they're lying about, because there are far more that have been confirmed dead, Maui County had only released the names of 5 victims as of Thursday afternoon. That I will not read the names or the ages because I know that they will equal to be something very, very Masonic. According to the U.S. Fire Administration, people over the age of 65 face the greatest relative risk of dying in a fire. And I'm not reading the numbers there because I know what 2 times that number is. I'm not going for it. Then that of the general population. Research from the National Institute of Standards and Technology and the Fire Administration tie this trend among the elderly to greater frailty and difficulty escaping. In Maui, family and friends posted the names and ages of the victims on fundraising websites such as GoFundMe of the 11 adults. And I'm not going to read anything else. Identified this way so far, the average age was what's on the screen. Among them was Joseph Schilling. What's on the screen was his alleged age. Akavia Blah on a GoFundMe. I'm not reading it all. They ain't using me. You see that. You see that. Let me come over here and tell y'all. You see them numbers. Y'all know how to add. You know what them numbers mean. Don't let nobody use you. Let's go ahead and finish. Among those was Joseph, okay? Joseph Schilling. Joe passed while aiding in evacuating 5 elderly people, in his house, in his housing complex. He passed away as a hero. The fast-moving brush fire, fueled by winds gust up to 80 miles per hour, raced down the slope of an extinct volcano. Into the town of Lahaina, or Lahaina, I hope that's correct, destroying and damaging about 2,200 buildings and causing an estimated $5.5 billion in damage. Survivors have told harrowing tales of barely escaping the flames or fleeing into the Pacific Ocean. I'm not reading all that. I'm going down here. The Maui catastrophe may also have claimed the lives of children. I'm not reading that because anywhere I see numbers, I ain't doing it. Yeah, you can tell I'm pissed, right? The little episode I just had a few minutes ago, I had to blank it out, and I didn't say this, but this is what I can say now. I'm mad as heck, and I'm not going to take it anymore. Yeah, because that ain't what I said. I didn't say heck. Maui County Police Chief, Las Vegas resident John Pelletier said recovery teams have found the remains that may be smaller than other remains. So that means that they're children. Okay, so there's some GoFundMes, there's some ages. This link will be down below if you just have to read the numbers and if you just have to see. When you see this many numbers that's in a story, this is some crap. But I digress. Let me go ahead on and read another story. Okay, we got another story dealing with fires. Okay, so there is a Spanish island. Is it Tenerife fires? Pardon my mispronunciation. Thousands evacuated on a Spanish island. Another island. Another island. Another island. Let's get it. The Canary Islands, Spain, August 17th. Firefighters on Thursday struggled to contain a wildfire that broke out, excuse me, in a mountainous national park on the Spanish island of Tenerife. Is that correct, you guys? I don't know. Let me find out. Let me ask this thing that's been listening to my whole video the whole time. What does Tenerife spell? Oh, really? Dog hair. You get so doggone, you get so, I don't know what you get. You just get rude. So let me turn you up so I can ask you. I know you're going to be, I already answered it. I already answered it. Get so temperamental. What does Tenerife spell? Okay, let's get the pronunciation, you dinglebat. This thing is always in your conversations. And then when you want it to talk, it don't talk. But when you don't want it to talk, it'll be like, I don't understand what you just said. Can you please repeat the question? There it is. Let's see how to pronounce it.
Tenerife.
Oh, Tenerife, thanks, I think. But you never know, because that could be some whole Western thing. You sort of want to be polite to people.
Pronouncenames.com.
Okay, that's great.
Tenerife.
Oh, okay, Tenerife. Okay, so it's like terrible, but it's Tenerife. Tenerife. Okay, got it. Okay, now let's move. Hey, we're just hanging out today. That's all we're doing. It's just like you're here in my small little place since we moved. Y'all know ain't nothing been decorated, but nonetheless, we down here in my little basement office / laundry room. Yeah, / storage closet. Anyway, Tenerife. We're friends. We're buddies. We're hanging. Tenerife. Tenerife. Okay, so Canary Islands, Spain. Firefighters on Thursday struggled to contain a wildfire that broke out in a mountainous national park on the Spanish island of Tenerife amid hot and dry weather that has extended for 41 kilometers and prompted authorities to evacuate more than 3,000 people during the day. Quote, the fire is still advancing, but the priority is to defend the population centers tonight. This comes from the region's leader, Fernando Calvijo. He said this in a press conference. Earlier, he said that the wildfire is the most complex that the Canary Islands have faced in 40 years. The emergency services are expecting temperatures to rise on the island over the weekend, and a change in winds from the early hours of Saturday morning could push the fires westward from northeastern Tenerife. Here's another quote. The evolution of the fire is slow now, the head of the island's emergency service, Pedro Martinez, told reporters. Around 200 firefighters will continue to work through the night. Early in the day, while water-bombing aircraft managed to stabilize the blaze south of Mount Teide volcano, Spain's highest peak, the flames advanced, quote, out of control on the northern flank across the dry woodland towards a valley where several camping sites are located, blanketing much of the island with smoke and ash. Here's another quote. When you go outside, you start suffocating. It's as if you have something stuck in your throat, says Alba Gil, 37, a resident of the village of La Esperanza, where authorities ordered people to stay at home due to heavy smoke. She and her family stayed up until 4 a.m. worried about the flames higher up the mountain. The fire, which broke out on Wednesday, has burned through at least 3,273 or 8,088 acres of land. Scorching heat and dry weather this summer have contributed to unusually severe wildfires in Europe and Western Canada. Hawaii's Maui was also hit by lying, and there ain't no truth in you. That wasn't no wildfire. which has killed people, forced tens of thousands, except for Jeff Bezos, Lady Gaga, Oprah Winfrey, who else? Morgan Freeman, and I know his family. Morgan Freeman and a few other folks. I'm gonna think of their names because there's a whole bunch of them. All their houses is cool because fire got some sense. Fire can duck and dodge. I don't want to mess with them people because they might come get me. The fire thought. Forced tens of thousands to evacuate and devastated the historic resort of Lahania. Scientists say that climate change driven by fossil fuel use everybody. Dun, 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 dun. Lies, 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 yeah, they're gonna get you. Lies, 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 yeah, they won't forget you. Lies, lies, lies. Thompson twins, anyone? That's what I'm gonna say. Whenever I see something in the story that's a lie, even if it's gonna be in a pre-recorded video, and when you guys that know me, y'all gonna hear me say, insert Thompson twins. Because that's what I'm doing from now on. So let me go ahead on with it. Insert Thompson twins. Scientists say that climate change, insert Thompson twins, driven by fossil fuel use, insert Thompson twins, has led to more frequent and more powerful extreme weather events. Last week's heat wave in the Canary Islands left more areas bone dry, heightening the risk of wildfires. Okay, so if that's the case, then what do you do to prevent these things from happening? If you already know that it's bone dry, that stuff that y'all dropping, can you drop that on the islands? Can you pre-drop that? Will it make a difference? I don't know. How can you do something? I don't know. Is that an option? Is that fair of me to even wonder? I don't know. I'm just asking. Is that a possibility? Somebody out there really tell me, honestly, can you do something to prevent a fire or prevent a fire from spreading? Is that a possibility? Authorities warned the spreading blaze could lead to further evacuations and confinement. Insert Thompson twins. Advising people to stay tuned to public service alerts, unless, of course, you're in Maui. So far, 3,820 people. 3 plus 8, 9, 11. People were ordered to stay home until tomorrow, said the Civil Protection Chief, Mr. Roman. A prison and migrant reception center were in the areas under confinement, and authorities have deployed 17 aircraft and combined 350 firefighters, military personnel on Friday. 16 aircraft will resume duties as a result of a helicopter malfunction, Roman added. Here's another quote. We are watching the big mountain and the blaze. We saw this firewall. And we'll see this, and we'll see if we can control it. That's what he said. Pardon me. We saw this firewall, and we'll see if we can control it. The situation seems pretty bad, said a resident, Celestino Suarez. All access to the mountains on the island, including tourists' favorite, there's some Astrophysics Institute that's been closed off to prevent any further incidents. 2 airports were operating normally. Spanish airport operator Arena said. As that's A&E said. A said. Okay? I don't really care. All right. I do care, but I don't care who's reporting it. I care about what's going on with the humans, but that's it. Now, speaking of humans, let's take a look at this next story. Here we are. Last story for the day, I promise. No, not for the day, for this sitting. Because I've got some more stories that don't match with this that I have to go live for again. Hopefully I'll be nice and calm and won't be going off in a passive-aggressive way as I have this hour. Okay, another fire. Let's see, which one do I want to do? This one. Here we are. You see that? Western Canada fires spark new evacuations as firefighters race flames in Yellowknife. Here's a summary. More than 20 evacuation flights likely out of Yellowknife Friday. Fires expected to reach outskirts of Yellowknife on Saturday. Fresh fires spark evacuation orders in Kelowna, British Columbia. Yellowknife, Northwest Territories, Edmonton, August 18th, Reuters. A massive wildfire in Canada's western province of British Columbia prompted more evacuation orders early on Friday as firefighters raced to move all residents from the remote northern city of Yellowknife to safety. A state of emergency was declared Friday in Kelowna, a city about 180 miles east of Vancouver, with a population of about 150,000 people. Some were told to leave. Some of the hills around the city blaze in the pre-dawn light of Friday. Residents under evacuation alert are advised to be ready to leave their home at a moment's notice, the city said in a statement, adding that people should prepare to be away from their home for an extended period of time. The evacuation orders were issued after wildfires that were discovered on Tuesday jumped Lake Okanagan, sparking spot fires or wildfires in Kelowna. Now, further to the east, the massive blaze threatening Yellowknife, the Northwest Territories capital, made little progress on Thursday, but changing winds mean that it could reach the outskirts by the weekend, said Mike Westick, the territory's fire information officer. Now, here's a quote. The next 2 days are absolutely critical and will be some of the most challenging of the season, he told the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation early on Friday. The fire is about 9 miles northwest of the city, but changing winds are expected to drive it closer. Now, haven't you noticed that each one of these stories tell us about the changing winds and that they're going to move it closer? They're going to be, the fire's on this side, but now the winds that are coming are moving it to the other side because, well, it's just like cooking meat. You got to cook it on one side and you got to flip it over, unless, of course, you're using a pressure cooker. Well, then if that's the case, then you just use directed heat like you do in a pressure cooker. All that energy in a pressure cooker is different than this right here. As a matter of fact, in a pressure cooker, it's directed heat. All that energy is directed to one place. It all cooks one moment. Just talking about this right here. The fire is about 9 miles northwest of the city, but changing winds are expected to drive it closer. Those are the winds. Quote, we're going to be putting everything we have into slowing that progression down. We're going to be throwing aircraft at it, and when it's safe, we're going to be throwing people at it, Westick said. Boy, what a choice of words. We're going to be throwing some people at this. We're going to be. I'm going to be. Anyway. I'm going to be there. Okay, anyway. Teams were cutting down vegetation to create fire breaks, setting up sprinkler systems, and might even set deliberate fires. I was thinking about deliberate fires earlier. And when I thought about reasons or ways to stop it, deliberate fires is what I was thinking about. In an effort to keep the blaze at bay, he said. This tactic is designed to deprive a wildfire of the fuel that it needs to spread. People were still leaving the city of around 20,000 under an evacuation order that was issued on Wednesday. Fires were burning on either side of the only highway out of town, and smoke was obscuring the view. But the road was still open, Westick said. Some 10 evacuation planes ferried about 1,500 people out of Yellowknife on Thursday, and about 22 flights were due out on Friday, while scores of people left via the road, authorities said. I don't know where they got this footage from, but this don't look like no footage from people who were worried about no fire. Nonetheless, I digress. Nobody envisioned an event of this scale. It is still really stressful. There are a lot of people still left in Yellowknife that are freaking out, said a resident, Tibia Tenosi, who was evacuated to Edmonton, Alberta. The expansive fire risks and disruption to life and land underscores the severity of this year's worst on-record Canadian wildfire season, with more than 1,000 active burning fires across their country. New data released early Friday show there were 236 active fires in the Northwest Territories. Now, if you want to read this about the dry condition, you can read that. I'm not reading it because I already get it. I get it. I get it. But I'm not going to give them the satisfaction of me reading it. How about that? Such a lady, right? All right, everybody. Now, we've watched it. We've read it together. We've seen it. We have all the stories that we were supposed to read today for this particular episode. But there are some other things that I must cover. I have to cover them. We are going to later today. What do we have here? We got the 15-minute cities coming. New York, California, Cleveland. New York, the state of California, and the state of Ohio. Those are what we're going to be looking at later today. We've already taken care of this. Already taken care of that. Already taken care of those stories. So now we're going to look at later this afternoon, 15-minute cities. Now, something very unique, the cat that created the 15-minute cities. I can find out who his daddy was from Colombia, but I can't find out who his mama was. And he's a striking fellow. Let me let you see him. Striking fellow. This guy started the whole 15-minute city thing, right? Let me look here. And I did some research on him because his name is Carlos Moreno. He's an urbanist. He was born April 16th. That's 4/16/1959. He's age 64 right now. In Tunja, Colombia. Nationality, French, Colombia. But I can't find out who his mama is. That means a lot to me when I'm doing research. If I can't find out who your parents are, both of them, and I know they're going to change stuff now because every time I say something dealing with these types of things, what I do is I notice they change stuff up. Can't find out who his mama is. That means something. But anyway, this cat is responsible for the urban life and proximity. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave that reference alone. Anyway, he's the cat that's over the 15-minute city. He's the one who came up with this thought process, right? The 15-minute city is an urban planning concept. And I want to thank you guys for getting me up on game about this because I had already envisioned it, just did not know that there was a name for it. It's a trip. The stuff that the Father will give me that I see and that I know is going to be. I never know they have a name for some of that stuff. And that's why I thank him. I know when you guys, and I have to tell you guys this again, when you all send me information, I thank you guys for sending me news articles. Only send me articles, oh, y'all. Only send me articles, unless it's something very pressing that it's a video about, right? Because I don't follow a lot of people. I like to laugh a lot. So I'll find a lot of stuff that's corny and goofy, some stuff you probably never would believe. But if you send me videos, I don't want that to be in my mind. Because when I get downloads from the Father, and I've said this publicly several times, I need them to be organic and not injected from somebody else's work. For example, even the whole blind side thing, when I upload that today, my take is not necessarily exactly what everybody else has, because you cannot escape the obvious with the whole blind side story with Michael Orr. But I do have something in my story that I haven't seen on anybody else's timeline flash, because I still get those, right? I still get those where it'll tell me this person posted this or this person posted that, and then it'll give me the title. I do watch my competition, I will tell you that. And so a lot of my competition that I do watch as it relates to their timeline and their names, not their stuff, unless it's somebody funny, I don't watch them. So I do know that nobody has this. And you guys will see that later because it's taken me the whole entire week to do it. It's down here in the vault. But my point is, when you send me things, I appreciate it. I appreciate you very much. Just make sure that when you're sending me something, unless it's very pressing, that you try not to send somebody else's videos, because I don't want to get their stuff in my spirit and tell you something that's not organic. Does that make sense? I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Looks like I have to thank some people for some blessings here. I know I'm not supposed to say your name, but I want to tell you, sister, I love you and thank you. And I've been interceding for you. I want to thank you for the cash app that you blessed me with today. Thank you so much. Okay. Sending you hearts now. Thank you, darling. Well, with that said, so we're going to go on ahead and we're going to deal with the with the 15-minute cities. I wish that we could talk, just us, so you guys could hear what goes on in here when that little hamster's not running around. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, baby. Okay. When that little hamster's not squeeze, 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 squeeze. I would love to let you guys in. Okay. My sister used the term superpowers. And I know that there's a lot of things that have physically happened and changed me over the years. Dealing with my neurological system, of course, dealing with this and dealing with all kinds of other things. But you know what I tell you? No matter what has ever happened, I know that the gifts of our Father are given without repentance, and all it does is it just heightens it even more for me. Even though I deal with these things, even though I can't make a smile, even though, things are happening with my body and my eye tears, and, the teeth are decaying because the mouth is dry and all this other stuff is happening. I really don't care. I'm intent on speaking the truth regardless. I'm intent. It's my intention to speak the truth as candidly as I can. And be as Felicia, or my middle name, or be as Tawana as I can. Right? Yeah. It's my intention to do that regardless to what goes on with this thing here. Until the even, it's my goal to speak truth. I want to thank each and every one of you for being with us today. You know what we always say on any Felicia Lockhart Group publications, and that is, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every single word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High. You guys take care of yourselves, and then you can reach around and take care of somebody else. And then I want you to consistently take care of my friend, because my friend is you. We'll see each other this afternoon. Lord bless and the creek don't rise. See you guys then. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way, helping you to make it through another day.